Well, I do not quite remember those figures that you churn
Those
out.
are the figures,
but
please.
The point is, why are you not looking at this in terms of party lines? Why is this being analyzed from a tribal perspective? That is very worrisome. Unless, of course, you have further proof to the fact that the APC has already said that they're not going to have any Igbo members, as you said, in their own government. Where did you get that from?
All right, let's look at the facts here as they are. One, if it was only PDP members that voted for the Deputy Senate President, one can interpret it to be that. Otherwise, one can interpret it to be that. And it would have been nasty, because it would have been that PDP took advantage of just the 49 members to return him as the Deputy Senate President. But the facts, as I have established, show that members of the APC also voted for him. So it cannot now be looked at from along party lines, because he got votes from both parties that make up the...
Now, if we say that that is the case, it means that the Deputy Senate President seat should be secure. Let us assume that all of this is political. Let us assume, without conceding to you, that all of this is political and it is to get at the Senate President. Just assuming now that he leaves office for whatever reason and his deputy is to take over from him. If he got votes from members of the APC as well, why should this be any worry to you? You should even be happy that he might become Senate President from the way things are going.
That's what I'm saying here. The Deputy Senate President is the alternate sacrifice for him to stay on, for him to have some moment of reprieve. That is what we are saying. That
where did you get that
alternate
from?
Sacrifice. Sorry?
Where did that come from? What's your proof to that?
We're in Abuja, and like I stated earlier to you, in trying to push across our positions to our senators from the Southeast over the weekend up till yesterday, to ensure that they go to the Senate and do the job for which Nigerians have elected them and Igbo people have elected them to represent them in the National Assembly. There has been communications and there are views. It is very clear. We don't need, it's not rocket science that has to be taught in a textbook and you go to, these are the views.
Mr. Tochukwu, I'm sorry, rocket science does need proof. I mean, it is a science, as you rightly said. What you are saying on national television, you do not seem to have proof, aside hearsays and talks which nobody else apart from yourself and other people that you say you've been talking to are privy to.
Sorry, hearsay, when you rely on the information given to you by a man who says I saw or I heard, that is what I am saying. I am not a member of the National Assembly. But when I rely on the information given to me about the happenings amongst the senators by a member...
Would you kindly tell us who gave you this information?
I have given you an idea of who I said. Over the weekend up until yesterday, we were making approaches, trying to push across our views to our senators to ensure that they go to the National Assembly. Sorry?
Who did you approach?
Senators from the Southeast.
There are many senators from the Southeast. You can tell us who and who you approached.
Well, those are issues. Those are information we met on without prejudice. So we are not under. When it is necessary, and we are under compulsion to ensure that we announce their names. We will let them know that we'll give their names out to the public, and we'll be bold to do that.
Very quickly here, because so that you have just succeeded in putting the nation or security agencies on the alert by saying that people have been mobilized to the National Assembly. Is it today?
Yes, today. Yes, today.
And you're aware of that?
Agency should watch out for it. It's going to happen.
So what's your fear? I mean, let us look at this. Assuming the charges are quashed in the Code of Conduct Tribunal, what's your fear? I mean, that should put paid. The Senate President's seat should be safe, and the Deputy Senate President's seat should also be safe as well.
Very well. Now, we don't have a fear about whatever is going on in the tribunal. What we are saying is the pressure, you will see what will happen in Abuja today. You see the massive mobilization that will go on in Abuja today. And when they do that, the target is the Senate President must step down. The Senate President must vacate his seat. And when that happens, that is the essence of it. You will see that the charges in the CCT will be thrown away and they will be forgotten. The target of this trial in the CCT is not for the man to be convicted or for the man to be found guilty.
Are you saying that a protest will force the... Just a moment. Are you saying that a protest, if any is being planned today, it will force the Senate President to step down? Is that what you're saying?
Not directly. Look at the issues here. Let me try to explain them. One, the protest will mount public opinion against the Senate President. Every Nigerian is in the mood of change. Every Nigerian is in the mood for anti-corruption. Now, when there is that protest to say, oh, you are under trial for corruption. And if you look at the special provisions in the Code of Conduct, Bureau and Tribunal Act, for any other crime you commit outside the CCTB Act, you can get presidential pardon. But once you are convicted or found guilty, the Act says you cannot get presidential pardon under any circumstance. So you see that it's a weightier way of getting somebody punished.
But you're already sure that the CCT... Just a moment. You're already sure that the CCT will find him, I mean, he will be able to prove his case before the CCT. Isn't that what you just said? I'm sorry?
I said he will not be found guilty in the CCT.
Exactly.
So they are taking advantage of that to now put the public pressure on him that he is under trial for corruption charges, that he should step aside. Now, reaching the senators, you will see it will happen even on the floor of the National House.
If your group, I mean, I think that every group will have a right to protest. So if your group also feels the same, if your group doesn't feel that way and believes that he should be supported, why aren't you also mobilizing to organize support on his behalf?
To support somebody only is not by way of mobilization. But one thing you will see also today is that the Igbo youth organized youth movement will make a statement, clear-cut statement, and the nation will see that statement today, that this is a trial of the Igbo man, and we will resist it. The statement will be clear. The nation will know about it today. That the Igbo youth will make a statement, clear-cut statement, that this is a trial against the Igbo man, and we will resist it with everything within our legitimate powers to do. And we're going to. And we will ensure that with God on our side, we're going to succeed. The security agencies have to sit up to their responsibilities today, because it's going to be quite hectic. It will be a handful for them.
So are you saying then, for instance, now that in this fight against corruption, if for any reason an Igbo man has cause to face or to answer any charges in court, the security agencies or the authorities should take it easy, because we just might be, you know, stepping on the toes of an Igbo man or Igbo people, as it were?
No, that's not the view here. What we're saying is, if the Senate President, if the prosecution of the Senate President had followed the normal procedure, all the right things that should have been done, that should have been done were done, there wouldn't have been these issues. But it's just arrange it so that we'll use the pressure of it to get at something. So if any Igbo man, for whatever reason, commits any offense, he should answer to the charges, to his charges, and he should go and face the law. That is not what we are saying. But what we are saying is, when you place the Igbo man on trial because he is an Igbo man, not because he has committed an offense, we will speak out and we will shout. It is interesting
here that there's no Igbo man on trial, at least for all to see.
When the facade is removed, you will see it, please. That's the target. You will see it. It will play out very soon. It will play out very soon.
If, for instance, I'm just wondering though, if, for instance, for whatever reason, you know, say your prediction happens and another Igbo person is used to, you know, compensate the Igbo people in whatever capacity, would it matter to you?
Sorry, please. When you talk about compensation, as the word compensation, just like you used it now, it's worrying that it has to be compensation. For what are we being compensated for? What have we suffered that you are compensating us for? Compensation usually is when you must have suffered something. That means there's an admission that the Igbo man has suffered something, a denial somewhere. But the facts are simple here, please. How will you compensate the Igbo man again? By ministerial appointment? Sorry, the Constitution has already said every state must have a minister. That one is no longer subject to any man's decisions. Every state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will produce a minister. So that is not a compensation. It's your right on that issue. Even the Federal Character Act is a right that it has to be spread. And when you're talking about spread, and people are talking to us about competence and about ability to deliver, and it now makes me to feel like a second-class citizen, that amongst the millions of people...
You know what also, because you also said that the PDP... Just a moment.
Nobody can say that there's no competent Igbo man.
Tochukwu, just a moment. Because you did say that the senators were the ones who elected the Deputy Senate President as well. That's what you said. if that is the case, what is the likelihood or what are the chances that they would not do so again?
The likelihood is if they resist the pressure from the teen gods in Babylon, then that would be the end point of it, that they would not make any changes. But we're in this country and we've seen Senate presidents. In the First Republic, almost every state of the Southeast, in the Fifth Assembly, we saw almost every state in the Senate, in the Southeast, producing Senate presidents. It was the banana peel when the Igbo man was Senate president. But the banana peel traveled out of the National Assembly the moment an Igbo man wasn't Senate president. So, is that banana peel coming back again? If they resist the teen gods from Babylon, this is going to happen. Then there will be stability in the National Assembly, and Nigerians are eager for the National Assembly to get to work. There are a lot of things to be done.
We're out of time now.
Bills that are passed.
Mr. Tochukwu, I'm afraid we're out of time. Very quickly before we go, you take full responsibility of your comments and statements because you say you're very sure. Is that it?
I take responsibility for what I've said, because I know the facts are as clear as they are, and I have spoken about them here on national television because I agree I have the facts. Thank you very much.
Well, we'd like to thank you so much for being a nice company on the show today. And, we'll take a moment to return shortly. Stay with us.